Welcome to Politics After Dark. Nobody's watching right now, but this will be on archive and people will be able to see what we're talking about, even if they're not joining us live. So, Sean, I am going to send you the link to the chat room over at Liberty.me.
Well, I have a group chat on my right column here.
Yeah?
That's not the same.
No, that's not the same. That is just between you and me.
Oh, well, then I want to keep that?
Yeah, you want to keep that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Now I have to figure out how to get it back. All right. No worries.
Okay. So here we are.
There it is.
We're supposed to have it.
Okay.
Let's see our chat room. Oh, well. I guess we're just having a podcast then.
That's fine.
That is fine. That is fine. So I am your host, Rachel Mills. This is Politics After Dark with Rachel Mills. And I have with me here Sean Haw. Sean Haw is a Libertarian candidate for U.S. Senate from North Carolina. Did I get that all in the right order? You've got a pattern going down.
Well, I have a pattern. For media appearances, it's not so much. For official stuff, I'm running as a Libertarian for U.S. Senate in North Carolina in 2016.
Yes.
So I'm about, after doing it for 3 years now, I about have it down.
And you are super famous. You're like the most, I think you are the most famous pizza delivery man in the country right now.
There was a woman in Nashville who also worked for Papa John's who defended herself with a firearm, which from robbery, which is against company policy. But there was national outcry to get her to not be fired. So after about a week of listening to gun owners across the country, Papa John's decided to not fire this woman for violating company policy. So she was more famous than I was for a little while. But I'm back on top of the game.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are longer than 15 minutes. You are in for the long haul. This is your second run for Senate, and your calling card, which I am somewhat familiar with, you could say, is videos that you do in a certain toy-strewn basement. I don't know where that would be. I'm being facetious because I do the videos in my basement. So
yeah, it's about 12 feet directly below where you're sitting right now.
Yes. And you just released your latest one today on HB2, which is the infamous stupid bathroom bill. And tell us a little bit about that and the publicity you've gotten so far.
Well, it's called Why Did It Have to Be Bathrooms? In which I make the argument that if this is what we have left to discuss, then maybe government has just completely run its course. And it's outlived its usefulness. It makes it very easy to make arguments, just to completely abolish government. But and I want to try to make it clear just how ridiculous the issue is. That this is, all this bathroom stuff is something that can be solved by simple etiquette. And in fact, not having any law whatsoever really facilitates people going to the facilities. It's just, we could solve this problem simply by being the human beings that our mothers raised us to be. It's not that hard.
Yeah, if we want to pass some bathroom laws, we should go through this. If you're going to pass bathroom laws, what should they be instead? What would make more sense? And I would posit that if you're a female, you have to sit down on the seat all the way. And that way you don't splash on the seat. People have argued with me on this, and they're like, oh, no, you hover. You have to hover. I'm like, no. This is so problematic, If we're going to have a bathroom law, there's so many other things that could be passed instead. Not that I'm advocating for any of these laws seriously, but,
Well, exactly. Again, this is an etiquette thing that people should sort out amongst themselves. And I don't even want to get into the middle of that one. Not at all. Now, as I mentioned in the video,
yeah.
I mean, if I was going to have bathroom laws, I would have, fines against, missing, for poor aim, basically, or at least wipe up after yourself.
Yes.
If you can't get the aim part down right, there's toilet paper, there are paper towels right there. You don't have to leave it for the next person. But other than that, it's just.
Well, and then there should be something said about toilet paper and the supply. It becomes a problem sometimes. It's a problem when you run out of toilet paper.
But you see, look at Venezuela. This is where this all leads.
Oh yeah,
okay?
Venezuela.
You
See, they
start
got it right.
regulating everything, and then you start making everything according to how the state says it ought to be done. And then the next thing you know, you're out of toilet paper.
You have to maintain a supply of toilet paper in your bathroom, and look how well that's going.
That's right.
That's a better bathroom law.
You can't even find it in the store. You can't even go out and replace the toilet paper anymore. And I'm sure Nicolas Maduro is busy seizing the toilet paper factory and pointing a gun at the machines, demanding that it produce toilet paper without any people to run the machine.
This has demonstrated to me that, yes, there are actually worse bathroom policies. I guess that's true. It could be worse. We could be Venezuela, and they could mandate a supply of toilet paper.
Well, that's
and then
we're
people
going.
could get, yeah.
But you see, that's one of the nice things about. I'm sure you've traveled internationally before. Everybody that I talk to travels internationally. I've had this experience. It's like, this is one of those things that you take for granted, that the free enterprise system of America, all over the rest of the world, our toilet paper is really top quality. Yeah, everybody else uses
our
stuff
bathrooms
that
are free.
I know, and like, because of socialism, other countries have to use the same kind of stuff they used on the Oregon Trail or whatever. It's like we've moved way beyond that.
Well, certain places in England,
paper technology is plentiful and cheap.
You have to go through like a vending machine, like turnstile thing in certain places in England, like in the major train stations or whatever. You go through, and it's like, the toilet is 50 pence. You have to put in your money before you can access the facilities. So, I mean, as an American, you see that, and it's like, what?
We tried that in America. It didn't fly. Now, I remember in the late 70s, early 80s, around that time, there was an attempt to institute pay toilets. But I guess there was a little bit too much on-the-spot protest against such a thing, and eventually they pulled the plug on this in the United States.
Probably the Brits are too genteel to just squat and pee outside of the pay toilet if they can't come up with change. But I could see certain Americans doing that. No problem.
That's only certain parts of Britain.
Certain parts of the country.
But yes, we always have had more of a rebellious streak. It's true. It's true. and that's what I mean. But a big part of the problem is, like, when government feels like they have to regulate every single thing, it leads to a breakdown of civility. There are so many reasons why. One is that, government. If government's going to take care of something for us, then we don't have to take any responsibility for it ourselves.
Yep.
And
then if we try to reverse those policies, you imagine if we had universal, all the public toilets were paid, and then someone suggested backing out of that. It would be like public education. It'd be like, well, who would pay for the toilets? Poor people. Backing out of those big government things, or those things that people, I don't know what to say. So
that's all right.
But on to more important things. What are you drinking?
Tonight? Right now I'm drinking the Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA.
Cool.
Which I can get in the grocery store. I love how, I only drink North Carolina craft beer now. And I love how Sierra Nevada, it's a California company. I already knew they made really good beer. And then they opened up a plant in Mills River. I've been in California now for something like 20 years. But as soon as they opened up a plant here in North Carolina, all of a sudden they were embraced without question and without hesitation as a North Carolina craft beer. So it's nice to be able to include that without any shame or guilt because I like a lot of the Sierra Nevada beers.
Well, we're a very welcoming state.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And this is why I want to do the that's probably inside baseball. I'll skip that part.
Okay. I know what you're talking about, though. I know what you're going to say. But let's move on and talk to the convention coming up. Are you so excited?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
We're both going to be delegates.
It's going to be delegates from North Carolina, the Libertarian National Convention, which is on Memorial Day weekend. That's the weekend after this coming one. So it is going to be just so much fun, especially now that I just don't really care about much of anything. To sit out, when we're talking about platform and bylaws and that kind of stuff, electing people to the Libertarian National Committee, you'll find me at the pool.
It's a nice pool.
We are nominating presidential and vice presidential nominees as well. That's where the real action is. And you've heard the big news.
Is that going to be moved to Monday, really? Is that going to be moved to Monday? I hope not.
They keep a tight schedule.
I hope
precisely because they know that there's maximum participation. So violate the pledge that we all signed on anyone who tries to extend time and push off anything because they think it's so important that their bylaws amendment continue to be discussed for another 18 hours or whatever. I just vote against all motions to extend time. So I might stick around for a little bit of that to try to keep people from getting into nonsense. But you heard about Bill Weld, right? Gary Johnson picking Bill Weld to be his vice presidential candidate because, of course, there's just not enough Republican governors on our ticket.
Two Republican governors on the Libertarian ticket. I don't know anything about this guy. Do you?
Oh, yeah. I lived in Massachusetts a little bit before Weld was governor. He's a
governor of Massachusetts?
He was the governor of Massachusetts.
When? How long ago?
This was the late 80s, early 90s, after the caucus.
Okay.
And he's like a liberal New England Republican. Compared to what? Compared to even Gary Johnson or Bob Barr, no, I don't think he's that terribly libertarian. Compared to the rest of them, I give him a B. We kind of liked him when he was governor of Massachusetts. And the New York party was willing to give him their nomination for governor of New York. And I think that was 96, because, of course, anybody in the world can run for office in New York. As we've seen with that former New York Senator Hillary Clinton now running that.
Wait, so he was going to run as a libertarian?
Yes, but it was contingent on him also winning the Republican nomination to do. Weird. So he backed out of the whole deal. He wanted to run, because in New York, you can run for on more than one party line. And this is a nice strategy and you have to get 50,000 votes in the governor's race.
Wait, so he was going to run as a libertarian and a Republican at the same time?
So he'd be on the ballot twice. William Weld, Republican, and William Weld, Libertarian. And then the push would be to get people to vote for William Weld, the Libertarian, because then the Libertarians would get 50,000 votes to stay on the ballot. So it's like, who was it? Was it Brian Doherty in Reason wrote about it and said, well, from an objective measure, Bill Weld really isn't a libertarian, but yet somehow Weld fervently believes that he is a libertarian.
I've met people like that.
Oh yeah, he's been nice. I mean, but he's been friendly to the party for at least 8 years. No, that's right. It was 2008 when he was going to run for governor of New York. So that whole the complicated story of how New York ballots and ballot access law works. I keep going back and forth, and I don't see how it broadens the base. We already took in Gary. You know, how is Bill is more liberal than Gary? Gary actually was credible. I mean, here's the thing. We really liked Gary already. That's why it was not that difficult to sell for him to become our presidential nominee 4 years ago. Was you know, when he defected to us, even though it was clearly opportunistic in the middle of the presidential race, we said, "Oh, okay, sure, you know, welcome. We've been waiting for you." I don't know that there was any big outcry within the Libertarian Party that we've been waiting for Bill Weld. You know.
Yeah. Interesting.
But there are advantages. I can see immediate advantages. He claims he can raise money, but I've heard that song before.
Well, Gary Johnson's going to need it. He's already over $1 million still in the hole from his last campaign, as George Phillies was.
Oh yeah.
Did you get George Phillies' letter?
I'm familiar with all that material. I mean, you're talking to somebody who knows where the bodies are buried. You know, I knew that Gary Johnson was going to run in the moment that he closed out 2012 in so much debt. He was in a large amount of debt. I knew that, 7 figures. And then the FEC came up, as they often do, with who take matching funds and say, we gave you too much in matching funds, and now we want like several $100,000 back.
Yikes.
So he got hit with that fine. I think it was like $250,000. And he only had, and according to these recent articles, he admits he only has $35,000 in the bank right now. So yeah, it's to nominate Gary Johnson is to depend solely on his current star power and ability to garner media, which is considerable.
Well, I was reading in the Daily Caller today, you know, there's a little bit of a brouhaha over the Koch brothers endorsing him, and then that
everybody
was denied.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some fool, just probably a Twitter egg. I bet it's somebody who just made up an account with some journalist's name, you know, and claiming to be him, but didn't even change the editor. This happens sometimes. And he just put up an egg and said, you know, sources say, hey, David Koch is going to give $10 million to Gary Johnson.
And they also said Steve Wynn of Las Vegas casino fame was going to pitch in a bunch of money. And well, I mean, the Koch brothers said, you know, they have no intention of supporting a third-party candidate because they never do.
Yeah, it's just people are getting ahead of themselves with speculation.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe the Johnson campaign is putting stuff like that out to sort of counteract all this campaign debt stories. Like, you know, $1 million, so that doesn't matter because there's $10 million coming from, you know, super PACs.
Well, like I said, I've heard this stuff before. And it's like, no, you show me the check. Write the check and put it in my hand. Or shut up and get out, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
I've really had it with these promises. I've heard them from so many people. all along. And this is one of the reasons why I'm really glad to have the campaign structure that I do, where I'm just not dependent on that at all, so that I have the liberty. If somebody came to me and said, we want to, put 8 figures behind your campaign, it's like, okay, show me the money. Where's the money? Well, we're gonna do it. No, you showed up here telling me you're gonna give me the money, put it on the table, right? I thought you came prepared.
I am
with
Prince
the money.
of Nigeria. Just give me your social security number and a small fee to get the money out of customs. And
exactly. Right. Yeah. It's just how naive do they think we are?
So
maybe they'll buck up with the money, but I'll be really annoyed if all they have for us next weekend is a promise.
Yeah. So what do you think about Austin Peterson these days? You still pretty gung-ho?
Oh yeah, I'm loving him. In fact, I talked on my Facebook page, Sean Ha, Libertarian for U.S. Senate, or Ha for Senate, that you can see all of my thought, my immediate reaction. I listed all the pros and cons and the myths too. And then I drew a couple of conclusions, and that's my first conclusion, is that I really think this is the time to nominate a hardcore libertarian like Austin. I think 2016, here we are, that libertarians or that rather Americans are ready to hear an unadulterated libertarian message. I've had a lot of success. Purely libertarian message. And it's like the video that was released today. Yeah. Is pretty much call straight up for the abolition of government. So, a little tongue in cheek, but it's making more and more sense every day to people, what we've been preaching all along.
And of the 3 front runners, and we'll talk about John McAfee in a minute, but I mean, Austin definitely is the most hardcore, pure libertarian, in spite of what anyone says about his feelings on the non-aggression principle, which I think that's sort of blown over because that was ridiculous. But I mean, Austin's a libertarian through and through.
Well, that is the funny thing about it. He's the one candidate in the race, of them, I do believe, who has been a member of the Libertarian Party continuously. I think he's been a member since 2007. He worked for the National Party. His platform is pure libertarianism. You look at, I really like to say that you put Austin and me together, and you've got the future of the Libertarian Party. And it amuses me.
I hope so.
We're both playing the left-right political spectrum against itself.
Yeah, very much
I'm
so.
flipping people out by running to the left of the Democrats with my message to stop all war. But you look at what Austin says and what I say and strip away the marketing, basically, the personal perspective, because we're each speaking from our own experience, our own knowledge, our own hearts, which come from different places, but have gotten to the same place of real hardcore libertarian message. And it's pure party platform to a very large degree. So, and I think, and real libertarians notice this. Real libertarians know when they see Austin appealing to conservatives or me appealing to liberals, they see that and they see, oh yeah, that's a real libertarian message. It's the fake libertarians that think that there's some kind of difference. But we really do. We need to reach out to absolutely everybody all across the board. So I'm very comfortable with Austin reaching out to the Never Trump crowd and the Ted Cruz crowd, as well as the Bernie Sanders crowd.
So
tremendous opportunity here.
What do you think about John McAfee? Tell me your honest thoughts. I'm going to go get a refill, but you keep talking.
Oh, you would, because I wanted to keep this short.
Well,
Uh,
we'll wrap it up
um,
in 7 minutes. How about that?
well, no, I mean just the part about John McAfee, because frankly, I keep my opinion to myself because about him actually winning. Um, so I,
You don't think
as far
you don't think that is
no, I don't really. I think really it's hard to beat Johnson. Johnson's ahead, although he could throw it away. I mean, the one thing that people really care about at the national convention is how our candidate is going to look on TV. When we watch that debate on, I think it's Saturday
tomorrow night?
night,
No, tomorrow.
Friday,
Oh, well, the
Friday
Pennsylvania
night,
debate is tomorrow,
right? But
and then
okay,
there's a
good.
debate
That's
Saturday.
right. And that's like on the Blaze. And then there's the debate at the convention,
Yeah.
which is the night before the vote.
Yes.
And every single person in that room is not looking at them on the stage. They're looking at them on the big screen TVs around the room, and they're all imagining how is this going to look on national TV? What if we get into the debates with Trump and Clinton? Going to look, and that's why Michael Badnarik won in 2004, is because he understood that, and of the three major candidates, he was the only one. And people really liked it. You know, people, it's the, I want to call up my mom and tell her, oh, our presidential candidate's on TV. You need to watch, you know, test. Really. And so
That's a pretty good test.
So I can understand why McAfee is appealing. Because he's very good at garnering media and he's a very compelling individual. So that's really his main selling point. And you know, and that's one of the main reasons why I endorse Austin and why I endorsed him so early on. Gary is good at that, but he did this in 2012 and got us to a particular place. And I think Austin would do a better job presenting us in this particular election. I think he's got the charisma.
I sort of feel like any of the money that Gary would get, Austin would also get. It's possible once he gets a chance to make his case. And also any of the polling of that Gary Johnson is getting at 11%, I think I sort of get the feeling, I could be wrong, but that's pretty much an anybody else kind of number. In other words, put any name in there. Mm-hmm. In other words, put Austin's name in there, and he would still get that 11%.
Oh, I think that's very much true. And I look at my own polling, and frankly, my numbers right now, 6-7%, is generic libertarian numbers. So I think maybe Gary has a little bit more name recognition, and the mainstream media is giving Gary the presumptive nominee treatment. But Austin's been getting a lot of great press very recently in venues such as National Review, Red State. Red State has been beating the drum for him. It's like, you know, oh my word, you know, we're totally never Trump, but we're really conservative, and Austin Peterson would give us a reason to show up.
I saw that. Yeah, that was a pretty thought-provoking article. You know, just anybody but Gary Johnson, because you've sort of tried that and you're not going to do any better. Although I can see the argument that, yes, we could do better because this is a different year. You know, we could put Gary Johnson up and, you know, just because of Hillary and Trump basically campaigning for us, we would do better with pretty much anybody.
Oh, yeah. It's simply being somebody else. Yeah. It's certainly going to be a big push. And the Libertarian Party is the only one that's going to be on all 50 state ballots.
Yeah.
There are going to be other candidates who will have a lot of ballot access. and maybe the Greens will have enough to theoretically win
Do you know how many
the
states?
Electoral College.
How many states are Greens on?
I don't know.
Are they
To
on
be
the ballot
honest.
in North Carolina?
No.
No, and certainly not Oklahoma.
The deadline for turning in signatures was 2 days ago, and I've talked to them, and I know they have nowhere near enough. And thank you for reminding me. I need to give their ex-chair return call. I didn't write it down, so I forgot. But
So
sorry, Elena. Sorry, Elena. If you're watching, I'll call you back soon to strategize about how we can get the Green Party on the ballot in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because my ideal, really, people would care, I think, if they could vote for who they wanted, for something that they wanted. My ideal is to have about 7 or 8 different choices on the ballot. I think that would be enough.
It would be awesome.
Cover most everybody. Yeah.
It would be awesome if we had 7 or 8 choices and we could rank them. Instant runoff.
That would be, oh yes, absolutely. Because then you'd get a lot more third-party people in, I think.
I mean, yeah.
I'm wondering. No, instant runoff. I wouldn't have. I couldn't have won, but I was like everybody's second choice in the last Senate race.
I bet you weren't. I bet you were everybody's first choice. They were just too chicken to throw away their vote.
Well, it only matters when they make the choice.
Yeah.
Choice. That's who they chose. Actually, there was some polling. There was some very interesting post-election polling that was scientifically questionable. I'll have to say, because I know how to read this stuff. I know what's hocus pocus and what's real polling, and this is questionable. However, what was very interesting about it, nonetheless, was that there was a large number of people for whom the Democrat or the Republican was the second choice. That there were the questions of the poll were very well designed. It's the sample size that I have a little bit of problem with, but they were really trying to get at the Nolan chart, basically, to sort out not just left versus right, but libertarian versus authoritarian. And there actually are a significant number of people who would rather vote for who are like Republican, Democrat, or vice versa, because they know that they're authoritarian. And so a libertarian, no, or any kind of other third party is no. They would rather have their opponent, their enemy party, be in power than to completely upset the apple cart. So it's fascinating.
That's depressing, but that's something we need to know. I mean, we need to know and accept that.
Well, but exactly. No, I think the lines need to be drawn that way, and we're becoming more and more successful at drawing the lines at that way, at casting the approach to issues as liberty versus authority instead of left versus right.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, you have given me the allotted additional 7 minutes. So how about if we wrap it up?
Okay.
And hopefully tomorrow I can work up our next video. Which do you want the next one to be? Which should I work up next?
Well, I want them to all come out. I did want to mention, could you put in, and this is campaign business, but I'll go ahead and do it now anyway. The shout out, because I'll put an ad in your podcast here too. Beer Durham.
Oh, yeah, we should
on Moore Street. I talked to the other owner. It's a couple who moved here from San Diego. So yeah. It's a store on Moore Street, just north of downtown.
Which video should that go in? Which video?
I was thinking the opioid video. because
Wait, is that the one with the shout out or the one you want to come next?
both. Sure.
You want all of them to have a shout out.
Well, I wanted to have a shout out because that's the one where in the end I say I approve of these hops.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's a sort of play on hophead, which is a very old term for heroin addict.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like 1930s
Okay,
and
so we'll
40s
do
is
opioids
what we
next.
called heroin addicts. We could do that next.
Opioids.
I'm not necessarily attached to anyone over the other. I'm really excited about the bathroom stuff. I'm excited to be in Under the Dome. I'm excited to be in a news article where they said, oh, well, Libertarian Sean Ha said all this, that, and the other thing. Also running in this race are Republican Richard Burr and Democrat Deb Ross, who, and it's like they are A, afterthoughts, and B, now expected to respond to my video. Reporters will be asking me questions. It's like, what do you think about Sean Ha's new video? Which is exactly what I want. So it's great. So
Catbird seat.
yeah, really. So I don't know. I don't necessarily have any other particular thought in mind.
Okay.
As to what order I want them to come out in.
I just need to know what to do next, so I don't have to spend time deciding. So
I would just say maybe not do ISIS and back to back.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, that's whatever floats your boat. It's fine with me. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for being on my show. Cheers to your News and Observer article. It was lovely.
Cool.
All right. And I'll see you in Orlando probably.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Me too. Bye.
Fun.